Okay, mathematicians, welcome back. So for this week, we're going to be doing another word problem. And I really am hoping that you got to see some teachers at the teacher parade on Friday. A lot of you made some really wonderful posters, and we really felt the love from you. I know I wasn't there, but I saw pictures from there, and I even saw one of my students had made me a poster knowing I wasn't going to be there, but still like put it out. And so Mrs. Correa sent me a picture. So even though I wasn't there, I felt the love, and all the other teachers who were there felt so loved. There were so many teachers texting me about how they were so overwhelmed. Some were crying, and we just really miss you, and we felt that you missed us too. So one thing I noticed from the pictures of the event on Friday is that you were waving at the teachers from everywhere, from the balconies, from your porches, from the street. There was one picture that I saw of some kids waving from on top of their dad's truck, I'm assuming. And so that's what I really want you to keep in mind when we are unpacking this problem. Ready? So let's look at the first part. Some kids were waving at the teachers from the street. Can you maybe make a movie in your mind as to how that looks like, or maybe just remember? Because you were probably there, and so you saw this happening. So there were some kids waving at the teachers from the street. Ready? Let's look at the next part. Blank more kids were waving from their balconies than the street. Oh, what? I can definitely picture that in my mind, mathematicians, but I have to think about that part really, really hard actually. Blank more kids were waving from their balconies than the street. As I'm rereading that part, I'm noticing that whatever number we have here is not exactly going to be the number of kids that are waving from the balcony. It doesn't seem like this part of the problem gives us all the information. Do you notice that? Like right here it says blank kids were waving at the teachers from the street. We know exactly how many kids are waving from this information. We know exactly how many. But when we reread this part, think about it. Blank more kids were waving from their balconies than the street. It tells us how many more kids were waving, but it doesn't tell us exactly how many kids were waving from their balconies. So I'm making the prediction right now that the next part of the problem, the next part of the problem is going to be the question, but within the question, it's not going to ask us how many kids were there at the parade or how many more kids were waving from the street. It's going to ask us how many kids in total were waving from their balconies. Do you agree? Do you think the question is going to be different? Can you turn and talk and tell the person next to you what do you understand from the problem? Maybe what has you a little bit confused? If you think you're ready, turn and talk and tell the person next to you also maybe what the question might be. Make a quick prediction with the person next to you as to what the question might be. I'll give you a few more seconds. Okay. Let's look at the question. Ready? How many kids were waving from their balconies? So, again, this part of the information doesn't tell us exactly how many kids were waving from their balconies. It seems like to me we're going to have to use information from up here and information from down here to solve this problem. Do you think you're ready to do that with me? Well, let's take a peek at our number sets. Ready? So, our first number set is 5 and 1. So let's read the problem with those numbers in there. Ready? 5 kids were waving at the teachers from the street. One more kid. That doesn't make sense with the way I say it, so I'm going to say one more kid was waving from their balcony. So I'm going to have to change the plurals a little bit when I reread the problem. Ready? So 5 kids were waving at the teachers from the street. One more kid was waving from their balcony than the street. How many kids were waving from their balconies? So again, one kid wasn't waving from their balcony. There were definitely more kids waving from their balcony, from what I understand from this problem. But I have to use information from up here and down here to solve it. Are you ready to do that with me? Great. So let's see if we can write our number set here in the corner. And make a quick annotation as to what each number means. So this is the amount of kids that were waving from the street. Doot, 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 doot. And this is how many kids were waving. From their balcony. Okay, so let's see. So if I'm understanding this problem correctly, the amount of kids waving from the street was 5. That definitely is something I know right off the bat is 5. So the amount of kids waving from the street is 5. So I'm going to draw it out, because if you're someone who maybe is having some trouble understanding what the problem is asking, you might want to try to draw it out to help you a little bit. So there we go. So those were 5 kids waving from the street. And then there was one more kid waving from their balcony. That almost makes me think that the amount of kids waving from their balcony was the same. There were also 5 kids waving from their balcony. So that's what I'm going to draw right here too. But let me think about what the question is saying, and definitely what the information is saying. The information is saying one more kid was waving from their balcony. One more. So how many kids were waving from their balcony? Let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That definitely matches up here. And then this is the one more kid. So 5, 1, 6. So there were 6 kids waving from their balcony. That definitely was a tricky problem to understand, but I'm hoping that seeing it and drawing it out might have helped you understand what the problem is asking and how to use the information from your number sets to help you in solving this problem this week. So that was the first strategy. Let's see if I can use another one. Ready? So this is actually a strategy that I learned from one of my students in my room when they were doing this problem earlier on in the year, where they had the amount that was the same. They knew that 5 students were waving from the street and 5 students were waving from the balcony. They made a little line to show that that was the same, and then they just counted on how many more. So in this problem, there were 5 kids waving from their balcony and 5 kids waving from the street. At least that's what I understand from the problem when I unpacked it. But there was one more kid waving from their balcony. So 5, count on one more, leads to 6. There we go. So those are 2 strategies, but you definitely can be as creative as you want and show your work the way that you understand this problem. Do your very best this week. But now we have to think as to how we can write this and make it make sense. So let's see. If I write out all my numbers in my number set, how can I write a number sentence that makes sense? Can you turn and talk and tell the person next to you, how could you write a number sentence that makes sense using all these numbers? You got it? Did you come up with 5 and 1 leads to 6 or something similar? Maybe you came up with something different? Okay, whatever you came up with, remember it and show it on paper when you go to do your assignment. Ready? But now we have our work, we have our number sentence, we still have to write an explanation. Ready? So I'm thinking I may write it for this one, the second one. Ready? So first I put 5 down because I understood there were 5 kids waving from their balcony and the street. Then I counted on one more and got to 6. Okay, so there we go. Definitely take your time this week, mathematicians. We are going into the end of the year where we are reviewing some number sets and number types that were a little bit challenging the first time we reviewed them in the year, and I know that these type of problems that we're doing this week definitely were the most challenging. So take your time, rewatch the videos as much as you can if that is something that's helpful to you. If not, get out your tools that you probably have at home and try to show what the problem looks like. Maybe act that out with someone. Whatever is going to help you in understanding this problem, do it. Well, I can't wait to work with you again next week. Remember, do your very, very best. We just want to see your work. Well, thank you for working with me today. I can't wait to work with you again next week. Bye-bye.